So for this video, I am going to go through the contacts, how to add, edit, so on. Contacts. Contacts, for purposes of clarification, are anyone, any individual. So it could be a vendor, could be a client, it could be a staff member. It's just any individual that we want to add in for any reasons. Now, just want to state that I know we went through the company where you could see that company contacts. There can be a pretty big list of company contacts, but that's automatically added when the company is linked to the contact person. Now, unlike company, though, in company name, you can type any part of the string of the company name and it will pop up. But in this particular case, on the last name, it requires that you know that at least the beginning spelling of somebody's name. So let's just use me as an example. My last name, Sheldon. I type in S-H-E-L, and it'll pull me up anything that has an S-H-E-L starting the string of the data. So in this case, you see that it comes up with a whole list of people. This particular non-editable form is also the same, pretty close as the company form. So you can see the list, you can see what company that they're associated with, and then some other ancillary information just to verify. If you didn't pull up with something you needed, you can research based on the last name here, or you can research, like if you don't know the spelling of the last name, but you know the first name, like the name is Mark, then this will pull up anyone named Mark. And then we would have to go down to find the Mark Sheldon and go to. So you can do it that way. So we come to this form. It's again very similar to the company form in terms of its layout and look. So up on the top, again, I'm going to go through, I've kind of gone through these buttons when I went through the company stuff. So it's really the exact same thing. So this company contact information will list anybody who's associated, and you can see that I am associated with AO Events Inc. linked with this number. Anybody associated with the company contacts then will again appear here when you pull that up. Let me go back to me again. So on this one, very similarly, at the top, you can see that if they're a client, then that individual, you can look up their intake forms that are associated with them directly. So all of these intake forms, and there are 30 of them under my name, are associated with me being the direct contact for that particular inquiry. And so you can access those intake forms from here. You can look at the event statement, which is very similar to the event statement that you could see for the company. But on this particular one, it's only going to give you those that are associated with this particular contact. And then event contact list. So if this person was associated with any events that are listed as a contact, primary contact, then it will appear here when you pull up this list. Then we go back to notes again. Admin notes are all going to be password protected. General notes are not going to be password protected. They're just going to be for general notes that anybody has access to read. Gift list is if this particular person has been put onto a gift list on an annual gift list and what that is. And so this will help route the person who's doing the deliveries as well as what level of gift that person is going to receive or has received in the past. And then there's a couple of envelope reports that you can just pull up, resident envelopes, and oops, that doesn't look formatted correctly, but anyway, it's these are envelope pre-done, so you can just print them instead of the writing them out. Then on the next item down, again, all asterisk items will end up appearing on a report, possibly. So all of these things the name, so on and so forth, the department building. The reason that this is separate from the company information is because some people work for the same company, but they're in a different department, they're in a different building, or they're in a different room. So I make that an individual call out here. So very similarly, again, the record number is going to be auto-populated by the system when you enter a new record. The entry date will default to the date of entry of that particular person. Any updates would be placed here. The referral, again, if this were a client or something, and we needed to track who is referring that person to us, then that could be populated in this field, so we could always give the right credit to where it's due. An AO rep would be which salesperson, which person who's on staff with AO events is going to be responsible for this particular contact relationship. Then down here, Mr., Miss, Ms., it's kind of become an obsolete field because, I mean, you know, the whole gender transparency stuff like that, it didn't really mean to accommodate that. It was supposed to, this is kind of old school. So this has become sort of an obsolete field. You can use it or not. Then, of course, first, last, title, all self-explanatory. Telephone number, same thing. Email, same thing. So just very, very basic and very easy. Special notes, again, if there's anything in particular that this person, when you're putting together something for them, this would just give the person who's coming in to create the intake forms for this particular contact, would give them the opportunity to say, this person hates the color red, or this person never likes to do outdoor activities, or things like that. You can sort of anticipate what kind of hospitality you can offer this person, and knowing an awful lot about that person. Now, you can see that this AO events is pulled in. It's in a gray kind of a light font. And that means it's not editable. You can't do anything with this. You can't overwrite it or anything else like that. And it is all connected with this number. This is the number that was assigned to this particular company here when we entered the company in. So if I were to take this out and refresh, it takes that company out. So this is how you link the company to the person. You can do it through the company portal as well. So from the company form going into company contacts, I'll show you in a second, you can then go in and add a new person. So that's how this is all connected. This button then will take you, as I've just demonstrated a minute ago, back into this company. But if you were to go to view company contacts here and you don't see the person here, you can add a new contact for that person. Oops, another glitch. Let me go out of here. I'm going to come in here. It's probably because it just got stuck on mine. But so we're here and we go to view company contact. We go to add a new contact. It's going to bring you up a blank form. So the minute we start to enter something in here, it's going to then populate, say Mary Sheldon. You see it populates that, and then it'll automatically drop that company number in as a link. So now Mary Sheldon is connected to AO events. I'm not going to save this record because there's no such person, but as a point of reference to adding a new contact. So let me go back. So I had said that when you're looking at it, you can look at all the intake forms that's associated with this person here. But if you're also on this, when you're doing a search and you find Mark Sheldon and you want to see any events that he's connected with, then you would just simply go here and scroll up to all 30 of those intake forms that you can also see when you're pulling up the intake forms here. This just pulls you up the most recent intake form that was developed, and it'll take you back through all of the records, all 30 of them, going backwards there. So there's a couple of different ways you can access event information from a contact without going through the company. And there's a way to do the same thing with company, which I'll show you in a second. The other things down here, home info, I have home addresses and things like that you can put into this. And then personal information, if you wanted to record their date of birth or if they have a spouse and so on and so forth, then you can do that here on these other two subforms here within this main form. That sort of wraps, I mean, this is how contacts are entered in and how they're, oops, let me go back one thing real quick. I think I probably missed this. The active is obviously self-explanatory. It's for anyone who's active within this company. Preferred contact list is referring to the same things as here, where it's facility maintenance vendor, or if we're on a preferred list. If you're on those things, if Mark Sheldon is to be on that list for here, then this would be checked off for that person, and it adds them to the list of preferred vendors. So you can see like AFR, Jose Ramirez, right? So AFR, let's go to AFR, and you can see how that, where that is practical. So let's say there's preferred vendor, Robert Gonzalez. Let's say that we want him to be the preferred vendor. How this would appear then on preferred vendor would be AFR Robert Gonzalez is now being pulled onto that list. So it just sort of boils it down for people who are coming in to do research. If they don't know the company well, they don't know your vendors very well, then they can come in and look at a preferred list and understand, well, the first place to go for linen is BBJ. First place to go for furniture is AFR. So they would understand what are the very trusted vendors that you have in this process. I wanted to go back real quick to the company form and to the same point. You can access all events related to a company, any company with any contact via this button over here, as well as via this button here. So there's a number of ways to get to intake forms once they've been created, and we'll go through next how to create those intake forms. But that covers pretty much the basics of getting companies in and uploaded and getting contacts connected to those companies so that you can understand the ease that it is with getting all of those things together. So that is that for this one.